on our Facebook, which we do weekly, by the way. If you haven't had a chance to add us on Facebook, just go ahead and search Sun Solar Panel. And the results of the poll, I thought, were a little bit surprising. We said Suns should draft Ayton or Doncic, and 65% went over to Ayton. We got a couple of comments too. Joshua Perham said Ayton, he has a higher floor and fits a bigger need at the same time. Sean McConnell said Ayton because of, quote, Shaq and Kobe 2.0. Obviously, he was referring to Ayton's comments about wanting to play in Phoenix, or how he could see himself in Phoenix playing alongside Devin Booker. Somebody for Doncic, though, Khalid Odd said Doncic, it will be difficult to find a point guard. This we know because we did actually do a free agency point guard episode, and the pickings are slim, to say the least. 1 through 3 positions are more important in terms of quality. More centers and power forwards are available in free agency compared to point guards. Are you guys surprised that the results of the poll were so heavily over on Ayton's side?
No, I mean, come on. This is Phoenix, and this is the Phoenix Suns, and there's never been an all-time great center with the Phoenix Suns. So it doesn't surprise me at all that people would lean towards Ayton. Plus, you put in the fact that he played his college ball here in Arizona, so a lot of people have been exposed to Ayton's game. Well, Doncic hasn't playing overseas isn't readily visible. He didn't play in the tournament, obviously, isn't on national television on a weekly basis, so a lot of people aren't familiar with his game. Plus, you add in the drug and bender factor where, and it's unfair, but people are, gun shy about hiring or drafting a European player with a top pick, and you put all that together, and it doesn't surprise me that 63% of people want Ayton on this team. And honestly, I'm leaning towards that as well, because there's something about Doncic not really knowing what position he is. Is he a point guard? Is he and everybody's like, oh, he's a star. He's a definite star. I don't know that he's a definite star. He looks great over in Europe, but I just, does it translate? Is it definitely going to do that? Ayton has a potential to be one of those guys that changes the position again. A guy that comes in and maybe changes the way we look at center again. And I think it's going to happen. I mean, we're going to have a guy that comes in this league similar, and I'm not saying he's Shaq, but I mean similar to the way Shaq did, and have a major impact at the center position, because right now the center position is very undervalued. It's just, okay, the guy that can do no harm most of the time offensively, and can play enough defense where you have a rim protector. And I just think at some point we're going to shift back to looking at potentially dominant centers and a guy that can do that. And I think Ayton might be the guy that swings that. And I can just see the Suns, getting the number 1 pick, passing Ayton, him going on to be one of the greatest centers of all time, and the Suns having had a chance to have him, ending the streak of having no center for 50 years in franchise history. It just it's a little concerning to me that you pass up on that potentially.
I'm concerned either way. I mean, I just feel like just the history of the Suns, we're going to get whichever one is going to be the lesser of the two, assuming we get a top 2 pick. I'm still concerned that we're going to drop to 3 or 4. But I agree with Espo. I'm not surprised at that at all. I mean, you're looking at layman's fans who aren't as in depth into it as like guys like us are, who really actually follow the European game even a little bit, to know that Doncic's actually good. So, and the fact that Ayton's a backyard guy. I mean, he's went to U of A. He's kind of from Arizona as it is, so he's like, be able to have a homegrown star product is like, it's kind of enticing. Plus, when you look at the balance of the team, I mean, we have wings, we have a backcourt guy, star. Do we really want to, put all our eggs on that side of the, ball? Whereas Ayton provides that balance on the court, which I think is something that's attractive as well.
This makes me think back to Oklahoma City Thunder back when they had James Harden and Russell Westbrook, and they were like, "No, we don't want to do this. Go ahead and extend Serge Ibaka instead." I'm all about Doncic. I think that Doncic is going to be a transformational player. My worries with Doncic, I think he is the better prospect. It's all fit. He's a dominant two guard, essentially a ball dominant two guard that we already have. Sure, he could probably play a bit of point. He could probably play a bit of small forward. He's a good defender, although he's not as athletic. My worry with Ayton is, okay, so it fits the need that Espo talked about. Although there are some free agent centers that we're going to get to next week that, the Suns could possibly target. But what if he just ends up becoming Enes Kanter with a 3-point shot? And that's what we're looking at with Ayton.
Isn't that what Enes Kanter is?
Well, I'm sorry, with a 3-point shot. And add a 3-point shot to Enes Kanter's game, and then you have Ayton. And maybe that's a bad comparison, but defensively, the Suns need a center that can play some defense, because there are times when the Suns can score the ball, but there are never times in which the Suns can defend. And I think at this point, it's important that the Suns pair Devin Booker with somebody that can defend. I mean, if you guys listen to the Dunked On podcast, they talked about the worst two-guard defenders in the NBA, and both Nate Duncan and Danny LaRue named Devin Booker. Whether or not you agree with that, that's an issue that has to be addressed at some point, and Ayton's not a great defender.
Honestly, you hit on what makes me most nervous about taking Doncic is the fact that, okay, he is technically a two guard. You've got Devin Booker. Okay, maybe he can play some small forward. You got Josh Jackson and TJ Warren. So now are you going to shoehorn him in as your point guard and hope that works out for you? Now you're playing a guy at position, and I don't know. The makeup of the roster is already a mess, and does that just confuse it more? Now, the truth is, it probably is going to be a moot point. You're probably going to be picking fourth, and you're not going to have to worry about it. But it's one of those. What do you really want to do with this roster? What's the future of this team? What are you trying to accomplish? And those are questions that we haven't gotten answers to in 4 years. We don't know what the long-term vision or style of play is going to be. And I guess that gets answered in part when you hire your head coach. But there are a lot of questions to figure out here to decide which player better fits the future. And I don't know if Ryan McDonough tipped his hand when he said that center is more slightly the position of need for this team than any other, or not. But I don't know, man. To me, passing up on a potential dominant center and watching him go play amazingly for another team seems like a very, very Phoenix Suns thing to do when you look at the 50-year history of this team.
Is this the hardest, presuming, however you want to put it, that the Suns do get one pick, is this the hardest number one pick choice of all time? I mean, usually it's pretty clear who's going to be the number one pick overall. I mean, there's years in which it's slightly debated, but this year, the opinion really, the pendulum swings depending on who you talk to.
Do you not remember
that
KD and Odin? I mean, I know now it seems like it was one-sided, but...
Well, yeah, but I mean, sure, let's go ahead and look back 10 years. You're going to find one, but that's what, 1 in 10? I mean, the vast majority of the time, it's pretty clear who is the number one overall pick.
Hey, the Anthony Bennett year, that wasn't clear. Alex Len almost went number one, so...
That's a different kind of draft, though.
We can blame that on the Cavs. I mean,
it's a very different kind of draft. That was a down draft where nobody really stood out, and the Cavs took a chance. Whereas, when you had like that Greg Oden KD draft, it was two players where it's like, both had, risks, and for various reasons, Portland Trailblazers chose Oden first. I mean, I know he went into that draft kind of being the consensus number one, but then KD played that season and really played himself in that competition.
And Greg Oden could have been great.
Right, yeah, he could have. He definitely could have, and unfortunately, one of his legs was like 2 inches shorter than the other. But I mean, I don't know. I kind of look at this draft coming up as just. I kind of see the Suns, maybe from a point guard perspective. Maybe we want to go kind of. Shaq and Kobe 2.0 is a good example from the standpoint of. Think maybe we want to get like a Derek Fisher type of point guard, a guy who can defend, because Doncic isn't really known for his defense either, so that doesn't really help the Booker situation. But if we bring in a guy like a Patrick Beverly-ish player who can play that point guard position and is really focused on defense, and then do the same thing maybe at the power forward position to allow Ayton and Booker to be the offensive guys, Jackson's kind of in between, and then we got two defensive guys to kind of cover the other the star scorers on their team. That's what I'm thinking from a balance standpoint.
You had me worried. I thought you were suggesting Derek Fisher as head coach when you said
no.
Derek Fisher, and I was about to just say, let's end this right now, because we don't need to say anything else. That was just ridiculous.
And you're listening to the Solar Panel, a Phoenix Suns show, part of Almighty Baller Radio. No Dave King today. He's off like running a marathon or something weird this morning. But filling in for Dave King, Paul Bisceglia. You can hear him on Fanning the Flames podcast over at Bright Side of the Sun. You can follow him on Twitter at Dervish of Whirl. My name is Tim Tompkins. You can find me at Radio Tim NBA. And Greg Esposito, wonderful co-host, you can find him at Espo. Listener question of the episode we received on Facebook this week. It comes from Ren's Minting, and I thought that this was kind of an interesting one, and you two would be able to answer this well. Renz says he is visiting Phoenix in 3 weeks, and for the first and probably last time, is there a good shot to stack up on some Suns gear? Hashtag once in a lifetime.
Hold on. You're coming to Arizona and you do it like a week and a half after the season ends? Like, seems like a missed opportunity to me, but if you're looking for...
Maybe it's out of his control.
Maybe. If you're looking for good Suns merchandise, let me think. The team shop is always... at the arena is always a go-to, but it can be pricey. You have to prepare for that. I might suggest a Just Sports. You can find those throughout the Valley. They usually have a fairly decent selection in terms of what you're looking for. I was in one last night. They have some pretty cool shirts. They have some nice hats, and they have both current and retro jerseys. So if you're looking for something retro, they also have that option. The nice thing is they're usually in malls, which means you can hit a place like a hat club up and get some cool Suns hats as well. I recommend Hat Club for all your needs with that. And they also, if you're ever looking online, you can pick up some really cool Suns hats from there as well. So those are probably my suggestions just off the top of my head.
Paul?
To be honest, I don't own that much Suns gear because orange and purple aren't really my colors. So I don't, but from the standpoint of, if you're looking for like some cheap stuff, definitely like Target actually has a section that has all the local teams, so you can get some cheap Suns gear there. I've seen some really cool stuff over at Dick's Sporting Goods. Just Sports is definitely an option as well. I've seen some stuff there. And I have the team shop that has the most variety. As Espo said, it's most expensive.
Hey, and hit up a Goodwill while you're down there, because you can find some cool Suns gear in Arizona Goodwill.
That's true.
And for the right price, I might let you come shop my closet. I've got here in the home studio, I've got plenty of Suns merchandise. So for the right price, we might be able to make that happen as well. And you can pick up some memorabilia and some clothing if you're interested.
So one of the most useful things that you can do for us if you enjoy the Sun Solar Panel podcast is by leaving us a review on iTunes or on Facebook. This week we have a review from...
Well, I need to know, do you guys want a negative review or a positive review? How are we feeling today? Because I got one of each queued up right now.
Let's go negative just because Dave isn't here and I feel like he's super sensitive.
All right. This is true. So headline, Poor Tim. I feel bad for the host. He tries his best to make this an engaging, intelligent podcast, but the other co-hosts, especially Espo, either don't care or don't have thoughtful contributions to make. Of the 3 podcasts that I listen to, Empire of the Sun, Locked on Suns, and this one, It's my least favorite. From Completely Whelmed, 3-star review. Now, Completely Whelmed, I love that name, actually. I believe it is a Clueless reference because you can be, or actually, no, it's a 10 Things I Hate About You reference because you can be overwhelmed, you can be underwhelmed, but can you just be whelmed? And it's a question I've wondered most of my life, and apparently you can be whelmed if you just listen to the sun's solar panel, and you're this gentleman. My biggest question is, if you dislike the show that much, why not go all in and give a 1-star review rather than a 3-star review?
Hey, don't encourage.
It just confuses me. I quite understand. Honestly, if you're that disgruntled about the podcast, just go all in and give it a 1. And honestly,
maybe he should expand and try some other Suns podcasts like Fan the Flames.
Hey, don't take that. That was my go-to right there. I was going to say, well, since you don't really enjoy our podcast that much, we do have Paul on from Fanning the Flames, another podcast you might really love.
I think what this review really shows is there's too many damn Suns podcasts. All right, and apparently he wants us to go extinct out of the group, which okay, fine. But there's a hell of a lot. There's as many Suns podcasts as Suns wins this year, and that's a problem.
Looking at the list of Suns podcasts, too, I think it might be the issue of snark. I think he has issues with snark, so maybe he won't like Fan the Flames.
I mean, honestly, I could go on a 10, 15-minute rant by myself without anything or ask leading questions. I just choose not to. It's just my style is to not do those things. So if you don't like it, go invest your time elsewhere. That is perfectly fine with me. I have no problem.
Also, shout out to our friends over at Always Sunny in PHX. It's another great Suns podcast you can listen to. And thank you for the 3-star review. I appreciate you not making it a 1-star. I'm glad that you were whelmed. But let's go ahead and